Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Friday. It is the 16th day of September 2022. I hope this Friday and Good Friday, happy Friday to you all. I hope this Friday finds you safe and healthy, and that the same can be said for your family, and that the needs of you, your family, in terms of food and shelter and clothing as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field and the first responders who are trying every day to save lives. And those also who pick up garbage for us to keep streets and sidewalks, highways and parks clean. And those that make deliveries and trucks for our convenience, in trucks and cars and vans, bikes, foot for our convenience. Double blessings also upon the men and women that are trying to help rescue and deliver the teenagers and children that are the victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Also, those that are victims of pornography and child pornography, prostitution and child prostitution, sex slavery and human trafficking, and double curses on those perpetrators, those profiteers, and those nasty perverts that traffic in this human flesh. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children in the United States, and more coming. If you can do anything to help, please do, because we're in a recession and it's going to get worse. And millions around the world in similar and worse conditions, and blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Today I want to talk about a figure that is going to play an important part in the Knicks season. And that's Emmanuel Quickley. I want to discuss Emmanuel Quickley today. And the reason is, of course, Emmanuel Quickley represents, to me, he is the epitome of the scouting, the drafting of the Knicks under the Leon Rose, the Don's regime. And what do I mean by that? They traded back in his draft. They targeted him. They got him at a cheaper price in the draft because they traded late in the first round to get him. And he was in the rotation from his rookie year. So he represents a really high level success in terms of Knicks draft under Leon Rose. So Mitchell Robinson and RJ Barrett were not under the Leon Rose regime when they were drafted. They were drafted in previous regimes. But in terms of Leon Rose, IQ represents a success story. We're hoping, for example, that Obi Toppin, Quentin Grimes, Deuce McBride, Jericho Sims, and Roku Jokobitis are all also part of that success. But we know for a fact now, IQ is. Tibbs mentioned him as somebody he had been watching from when he was in Kentucky. Also, of course, Worldwide West was pushing for the Knicks to draft him. There are some that were pushing for Tyrese Maxey, and I don't think any of us would have minded drafting Tyrese Maxey. I thought he was better than Emmanuel Quickley. I still do think he's better than Emmanuel Quickley, but we didn't do bad in getting IQ. Now, the thing about it is that there's some disagreement, let's say, in Knicks Nation, which is normal for Knicks Nation, but there are many that look at Emmanuel Quickley as a starting level point guard. It is apparent to me that the Knicks do not look at him that way. He is a scorer off the bench. He has performed well whenever he has been given starters minutes. Like Obi Toppin, he has performed very well as a starter. So he has his weaknesses, and I don't know why people like to point out all the weaknesses of a player as if every player is supposed to be perfect. That's, I don't understand why people do that. You should look at the strengths of the player and what does they bring to the table. Now, if there's a liability that hurts us as a team, yes, you want to point that out. But every player has weaknesses. There's no such thing as a perfect basketball player unless you're looking at a Michael Jordan, right? But there's, very few players that are perfect basketball players. Everybody has weaknesses. Everybody has nuances to their game or things that are not as good as other things. So Emmanuel Quickley as a point guard, one of the things I notice, and many of you notice, he doesn't see the floor like a point guard. That's not saying he can't make good passes. He does. But a point guard, a real point guard in the NBA level, constantly is surveying the whole floor. And the best of the point guards that do that, they'll make those home run passes when the defense is sleeping and get you 2 or 3 easy buckets a game which adds up during the course of a game. If you can get 2 or 3 or 4 easy buckets during the course of a game, that conserves energy that you can use in defensive end, that helps you down the stretch, that makes the game easier all around. And so, generally speaking, the type of point guards that can see the whole floor generally are the type that get you those easy buckets. And not all point guards are like that, and Emmanuel Quickley is not. Emmanuel Quickley will make good passes now. He'll make good reads on the floor. But he is generally looking for his shot. And it's natural for him. You can see it. It's not something he has to force himself to do. He's natural at looking for a shot and getting his shot. The rookie year, the first thing we all noticed was the floater game. He had a tremendous floater game his rookie year. It didn't show as much last year in the beginning of the year as it did beginning, but he's always had the 3-point shot. He could shoot from deep in 3. He's got that in his game. And of course, he can go to the hole. He can penetrate when he wants to. So he has the complete offensive game, 3-level score, one of the best free throw shooters in the entire NBA, period. End of story. He could shoot 90% from the free throw line, but the Knicks have been using him, and apparently, for example, if the Knicks really thought that Emmanuel Quickley was a starting level point guard, they wouldn't have went and got Jalen Brunson. Okay? If they thought that he could do it, because he's been getting minutes. Emmanuel Quickley's been getting minutes again since his rookie year. He has been getting consistent minutes for the New York Knicks. And that's saying something in a Tom Thibodeau team, because Tom Thibodeau don't play rookies. Period. He just doesn't. And he gave Quickley, from the beginning, I was calling Quick his grandson, because he'd been giving Quick minutes from day one, So and of course, Tom Thibodeau loves it when players work hard, and Emmanuel Quickley works very hard. And so he is going to be an extremely important piece for the Knicks. Now, his rookie year, he averaged 19 minutes a game. That's big. I like to compare it to Jimmy Butler, who's turned into a, all-star level star player in the NBA. Jimmy Butler's rookie year, he played 8.5 minutes a game. 8.5. Okay. So here's Emmanuel Quickley coming off the bench playing 19 minutes a game for New York Knicks in his rookie year. And last year was up to 23 minutes a game. In both seasons, he averaged 11 points a game. He's almost a 90% three-point shooter, 89% three-point shooter. Foul shooter, 89% foul shooter. He shoots 37% from 3. He was better his rookie year as a 39% three-point shooter. Last year, he dropped to 35. I'm expecting him to come out of the gates back to close to 40 this year. Like all rookies, what we all have to remember, again, in the NBA, it's the best league in the world. Period. The best basketball players, the best 400 basketball players in the world are playing in the NBA. Okay. It's very competitive. Okay. Period. End of story. Very competitive. That being the case, it takes every rookie with some exceptions. Like, you get a maestro, a virtuoso, like a Luka Doncic. It doesn't take much of an adjustment for him, because he's already a genius level in terms of basketball IQ. But for most people, the speed of the game takes a year, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 to get in the NBA. Okay. It really does. It's catching on both sides of the ball, the speed of the game. RJ Barrett mentioned last year how the game has slowed down for him. And that's a common theme among NBA players when they get adjusted to the league, especially in their first 4 seasons. Like all the rookies that are drafted in the first round have a 4-year window, right? So when you see them in year 3, year 4 telling you the game has slowed down. Obi Toppin made the same statement. The game has slowed down for me. That means they're anticipating things at the NBA speed. They're keeping up with it, and even they can get ahead of it sometimes, right? So Emmanuel Quickley is just like everybody else in that regard. He has to get used to the speed, and he has. That's why I'm expecting him this year to really bring up that 3-point shooting somewhere around 40% again. I'm expecting him to continue that close to 90%, that 90% free throw percentage. He played 64 games his rookie year. He played 78 games last year. He's available. That's excellent. He works very hard on his body, works very hard in the gym. A Tom Thibodeau favorite in that regard. And so I expect him to be solidified as the first guard off the bench. We talked Derrick Rose. we're going to do a video on Derrick Rose. But Derrick Rose is going to come on strong this year. He's going to play very well this year. I'm expecting him to be, like we expect Derrick Rose, as long as he doesn't get too many minutes because he'll get hurt. He is going to be 33. But I still want him to be traded. Some of y'all going to be mad at me for that. Why do I want him to be traded? Because it comes a time when youth's got to be served. And I feel it's that time. It's not about Derrick Rose, how good he is. He's a great player. A Hall of Fame first ballot dude. One of the greatest finishers, in my view, in NBA history. But there comes a time when youth has to be served. Okay? And I'm talking about Emmanuel Quickley and Deuce McBride. Just comes that time. All right? Maybe they keep him this year. He's on an expiring deal. We'll talk about that in another video. But Emmanuel Quickley should be, if they're starting Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickley should be that next dude. First of all, we've already seen that in his first 2 years. He's like the first dude off the bench, right? For whatever guard, whether he's doing the point guard or whether he's doing the off guard. He's one of the first guards off the bench. He's one of the first players off the bench. And he should be, okay? That's why him and Obi made up the heart of what I call Mobb Deep, okay? Mobb Deep, because they come off the bench and cause all kind of hell for everybody, right? So they outplay everybody's second unit. And so those two are the spearheads, especially Quick, because I'm expecting Obi to eventually, depending on how long we keep Julius Randle, when they're going to not require a pick, or when, Leon going to bite the bullet and attach the pick. That's that's all it comes down to. Some of y'all in fantasy land, y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all think I'm attacking Julius Randle, but the true facts are they would have traded him already if they didn't have to attach a number 1 pick. And Leon is stubborn. He ain't going to attach a pick. So at some point, his value will either increase or decrease, at which time decision will be made. And I expect Obi Toppin to be the long-term starter at the power forward position. So I'm looking at Obi as a starter. But to me, Emmanuel Quickley is going to be a career 6-man, a very, very high-level 6-man. And man, if we keep a guy like that, we got the future, Lou Williams, the future Jamal Crawford. To me, that's Emmanuel Quickley. You're always going to have the scoring coming off the bench with a guy like that. And so, and of course, when he's really going good, he can finish games. And we know he can finish games for the Knicks. So Quick is important. Sometimes I do overlook him because I take him for granted. I will admit, I take him for granted. He is the 6-man guard coming off the bench, period. And the story, that's him. Okay. I don't look at him necessarily as a pointers again, because he does miss open players sometimes because he's really focused on looking for his shot. Okay, that's him. He's focused on looking for his shot. He's not necessarily keeping his head up and his eyes open for whatever opportunity, whether it's a pass or shoot. And he's definitely not a pass first guard. He's a shooting guard. He's just a small shooting guard at 6'2". But that's what he does. That's his strength. And he's good at it. And so he is going to help the Knicks a lot. I would love to see him in the playoffs this year. I think he has, I can't prove it, but my observation of IQ is that he's a playoff dude. Like if you sleep on him in the playoffs, he's going to kill you. I believe that. And so that's why I'm excited about having Jalen Brunson, because Jalen Brunson he's already proven it. He's a playoff dude, right? And so between Brunson as the starter and IQ coming off the bench, I think we're going to be in very, very good hands. Now, again, he's not a starter, and I expect this year that's going to be established. I kind of think you will see either if Derrick Rose is playing, you will see him whenever Brunson can't start. You'll probably see Derrick Rose starting. Or if Derrick Rose is hurt or traded, you're going to see Deuce McBride get more time at the starting point guard spot whenever Jalen Brunson's not available. You won't see Emmanuel Quickley because Emmanuel Quickley to me is entrenched as Mobb Deep's heart and soul, captain of Mobb Deep, and you need him there. And I think, even if Obi was a starter, with Isaiah Hartenstein, Cam Reddish, you bring them two dudes with Emmanuel Quickley, you still going to get the same mob deep results. You see? So I'm very excited that we have him. He's a success story in terms of the drafting of the Knicks front office and how they do business and getting the best value. Now, what does that mean? Let me just explain for some. Some of y'all get it, but I just want to make sure it's clear from my perspective what we're talking about when I say value. Let's look at it like this. Let's say I like to eat oranges. I'm in Florida and I like oranges, right? So I can get a basket of oranges for $20, and that's usually the price. That's the price, $20 for the basket of oranges, right? So I'm always getting my oranges. I know I got to spend a basket of oranges, $20, right? But one day I walk in there and the oranges are $25. Now I like the oranges, so I'll get them for $25, even though I don't like paying. That's a premium. But one day I might walk in there and the oranges are $15. Now I'm ready to pay $20 and they're cheaper. That's called value, right? So you're getting more for your money than you normally would. When you talk about value in terms of drafting an NBA player, you're getting more for your money than you otherwise would. For example, Mitchell Robinson was the 36th pick. If you look at that draft now, Mitchell Robinson is top 10 in that draft. So therefore, instead of paying him top $10, you have been paying him the NBA minimum for 4 seasons. That is value. Okay, you got value for him. Emmanuel Quickley, if that draft was to be drafted over, he'd be definitely top 15 in that draft that he was in. He was, I think, the 22nd or 25th pick. See, you'd be paying more for him. He's worth more than what you got him at. Therefore, you have created their value. The Knicks front office and the draft team led by Leon Rose are elite when in terms of getting value. That's why you get the importance of a guy like a Walt Perrin, because he's a scouting master and he will find you value. Okay. We got value with Quentin Grimes. We got value with Deuce McBride. The greatest value we got in the last 2 years under Leon Rose was Jericho Sims, drafting him in the late second round, 58 pick. And I think if we were going to redraft that today, he would be early in the second, right? I think we can safely say he's probably 30, 33, but we got him at the 58th pick. Okay. And so that is value. You're getting, and why is that important? Not only are you getting talented players, you're getting them cheap. It opens up, allow you to have more cap space. So when you get value, you're creating a situation where you're getting a player cheap that's worth more than you paid for him. You're creating a situation where you're not paying the heavier price, and you're also creating a trade asset that's of value. And because you didn't pay him what you might have paid, what he really is worth, you're getting cap space. So you want to get as many players of value as you can. See, generally the smaller market teams, your San Antonios, your Memphises, your Oklahoma Cities, they have to be, because they're small market, they have to be expert at obtaining value. And they are. But when you could get it in New York City at MSG, okay, and Emmanuel Quickley is value. Okay, so we got him as a sixth man. He can be entrenched there for the next 10 years and we're good. Okay, now, the only caveat to that I must bring up, Quick is going now into his 3rd season. He also next year will be eligible for an extension. He is a 6th man. He's not going to get starters dollars on his extension. He may not like that because he may think in his mind, and I think he'd be fair to think this, I am an NBA starter at the point guard. And I think I might want to look into the market to see if I can get somebody else to think that I'm an NBA starter and pay me like an NBA starter. That's the only caveat we might have. Okay. And we don't know right now because the New York Knicks locker room is pretty tight and tight-lipped, and that's excellent, right? It's led by Leon Rose in the front office. They tight-lipped, and that's great. They don't let a lot out. And so Emmanuel Quickley is not saying anything right now, so we don't know how he feels, good or bad. We don't know nothing about how he feels. But we will find out when it's extension time. And that's a year from now. We'll deal with that then. And so that's the only real problem, because right now, if he's happy and the Knicks pay him well, for a guy as a 6-man, and I don't know what the 6-man salary should be for a guy like that. I really can't tell you. I have to look at it closer, but it's not $100 million. I can tell you that right now. So we'd have to take a look at what the elite 6 men in the NBA get paid, like Lou Williams, or Pat Bev, or, dudes like that. What did Jamal Crawford, guys that are elite 6 men in the league, what did they get paid? Jordan Clarkson, what they get paid? I know Clarkson was getting $13 million a year, so that would be a 4-year, $52 million deal. That does seem right to me, but with the cap rising, he might get 60. We have to take a look closer at it, but that's really the key. If IQ is happy in his present position as the 6th man, we're going to have him for 10 years. He's going to be really good for us coming off the bench. He'd be something that the opponents would have to game plan for in their second unit. And you want that, and again, it's all with value. So that's pretty good, right? So anyway, that's Emmanuel Quickley. I'm hoping, he comes in, like I said, I'm expecting 90% from the field, from the foul line, 40% from 3, 50% of, 90, 50, a 50, 40, 90 guy. Very rare, those type of guys. Coming off your bench and scoring for you in double figures. If we could continue that, I think we'll be in good shape. This is what we're going to see what happens. I'm pretty sure we're going to get that from him. That's pretty good for us already. So we'll see. But that's Emmanuel Quickley. Please be safe out there. Enjoy your weekend. So